Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Prem Roundup. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the action from this past weekend in the Premier League, and also look a bit ahead with the upcoming international break right around the corner. As always, leave a comment below on your thoughts from this past weekend and the season as a whole so far. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for a roundup of each weekend of Premier League action. To start today's video, we will head to Selhurst Park where the league leaders Liverpool beat Crystal Palace 1-0. If you want to talk about how to dominate a half, Liverpool showed a fairly good example of that in the first half of this game. 73% possession, more passes in Crystal Palace's half than their own, and 0.08 XG conceded. Easily could have been 2-0, but Diego Jota, who scored their first goal, missed a pretty big chance around the 34th minute, but complete domination from Liverpool in the first half. The second half was a little bit of a different story. Crystal Palace, even with their limited possession still, created a lot more. They had 4 shots on target. Alisson went off with an injury, which looks like it's going to keep him out till about November, so that could be something to look for Liverpool. But Jaros came on off the bench, and within about 5 minutes of him coming on, Eberechi on a breakaway had a really big chance in the 84th minute to level it, and he made a big save. Eze hit the shot first time and made decent contact, but Jaros read it all the way, and in the end it was a pretty comfortable save. I think Eze needed to do better there, to be honest. For Liverpool, their flying start to the season continues. Top of the table after 7 games, 6 wins, 1 defeat, and it's been nearly perfect for them. No one's really including them in the title talks. I said it in my preview video that I think they will be in and around the top until at least April, and then it's up to them not to fall apart like last year. They have an incredibly tough run of fixtures coming up with the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton twice, Villa, Leverkusen, all within the next month after the international break, and even beyond that I know they have games against Real Madrid and City. If they can keep this form up and stay relatively unscathed through that run, there's no reason why they cannot have a major say in who wins the title this season. For Crystal Palace, hopefully they can regroup with this international break coming up. I think a lot of people were very high on them, including myself, considering the form they showed at the end of last season and the additions that they brought in this summer after losing Michael Olise. I don't think anyone expected them to be sitting 18th with 3 points after 7 games, but that is the reality now. The attack just really isn't clicking for them at the moment, but I think it will sort itself out. Eze, Mateta, and Nketiah just sort of need to be a little bit sharper, especially when they get into that end of the field. Only 1 goal from open play is pretty concerning, but I expect them to pick it up after the international break and as the season goes on, and I don't really think they will be in the relegation discussion, but at the moment they are sitting 18th, and that's where they are, and that will be the discussion around them until they at least pick up their first win. You know, it's early, but I think Glasner needs to be backed, and I think he will fix it. On to the next game we're going to talk about, which was the best game of the selection on Sunday, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3. In a game that was truly a game of 2 halves. Tottenham started out brilliantly. They started out right on the front foot. They had multiple chances within the first 5 minutes of the game, and Brighton just really looked unsettled. It was surprising it took until the 23rd minute for Brennan Johnson, who is an incredible goal-scoring form, by the way, to get Tottenham's opener, and it was a great ball from Solanke to put Brennan Johnson through. I think Dominic Solanke's really showed me that throughout this season so far that his build-up play is really impressive. It's something that Harry Kane was fantastic at when he was with Tottenham, the ability to drop, get on the ball, get a little bit deeper, and link up with your other attackers, especially with Son, in terms of what Harry Kane did. It's been really impressive from Solanke, and I didn't realize that was a facet of his game. I think it's probably just because I didn't watch him enough at Bournemouth. And then after that, James Maddison got on the score sheet with a goal. Probably should have been saved from Verbruggen. It was low. He got a hand to it, and it just sort of squeaked past him. But 2-0 was more than deserved for Tottenham with the way they played in the first half. Then halftime came, and then Brighton just flipped the switch right at halftime. The beginning of the half was almost identical to Tottenham's start of the game, but the big difference was Brighton got their goal early through Minta in the 48th minute, and Tottenham's defense just sort of fell apart. It was a decent ball into the box, and Van de Ven just sort of missed it, and then Udogie just completely mishits it, and the rest is history. Minta gets it, scores. It was game on from that point, and it was a game that Tottenham never really felt like winning from that point on. While the possession stats from the first half to the second were almost identical, the chances and the XG were completely opposite. Brighton then got their equalizer in the 58th minute through Jorginho Ruder, a wonderful ball from Matoma that just split the center backs of Tottenham, and a really composed finish from Ruder. And then Danny Welbeck netted the winner for Brighton in the 66th minute with just an incredible effort play from Ruder again. Got the ball across, and Welbeck headed it home to give Brighton the lead, and that was all she wrote. Brighton, in the same amount of time that it took Tottenham to get their opener in the first half, with a similar amount of chances, flipped a 2-0 deficit into a 3-2 lead that they saw out from there. Tottenham had a few decent chances the rest of the game, but nothing that really seemed to threaten Brighton. For Tottenham, I think this is a really tough one to swallow. 2-0 at halftime is a score time that you should be able to see out, even on the road. They have to deal with that first Brighton goal better. I'm not sure if you doggy thought that Van de Ven was going to get to it, and it caught him by surprise, but either way, that ball should have been dealt with. It's a worrying trend with Ange and Tottenham how they concede goals and how they manage games. They play brilliant attacking football at times and enjoy playing their high line and having their press, but there comes a time when you need to ditch the style of play that you want to play and just see out a result. It reminds me a lot of Southampton. They want to try and play their style, play out from the back, invite some pressure, hit teams on the break. And a team like Tottenham, who has such quality in their squad and should be competing for Europe every season, should not be being compared to 19th place on the table, 1 draw, 6 loss Southampton, who have just been poor since coming up to the Premier League. Part of this is on the players, putting themselves in that situation by not dealing with the ball on that first goal. But I think more of this falls on the manager. His unwillingness to adapt to what the game needs is killing Tottenham in some of these games. I don't think Ange should be on the hot seat by any means, but he needs to change his ways and he needs to be able to adapt to who his opponent is and what the situations are within the match. In their 25 Premier League games this calendar year in 2024, they have 11 wins, 4 draws, and 10 losses. And of those 11 wins, only 3 came against teams that finished in the top half of the table last season. Aston Villa, Manchester United, and Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace and Manchester United were 10th and 8th. Something's got to change at Tottenham, whether it's the manager changing his mindset or the players just stepping up more, but something has to change. For Brighton, their brilliant start to the season continues. Their ability to just have the next man step up for the team is incredible. It seems like every year they have 2 or 3 players that just come out of nowhere and make a huge impact on the team. They're very good at just optimizing their team with what they have and being able to get the best out of every player. Fabian Hürzeler is an early dark horse for manager of the season for me if they can keep this form up. 3 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat. It's an incredible start to the season for Brighton. And with that, we'll move on to the rest of the results from the weekend. Arsenal 3, Southampton 1. Southampton provide a scare to Arsenal, who continue their unbeaten start to the season and spoil Aaron Ramsdale's return to the Emirates. Brentford 5, Wolves 3. 5 different goal scorers for Brentford as their incredible home form for the season continues. Wolves just can't really catch a break right now. Leicester City 1, Bournemouth 0. Buonanotte builds on his impressive performance against Arsenal and net the winner for a huge Leicester win. Man City 3, Fulham 2. Kovacic saves City from a scare as life without Rodri continues its turbulent start. West Ham 4, Ipswich 1. West Ham finally get the attack to click. All 4 big players up front score as Delap scores again for Ipswich in a comfortable win for West Ham. Everton 0, Newcastle 0. Pickford saves Gordon's penalty to earn a point for Everton. That's huge. Aston Villa 0, Manchester United 0. A game that no one really seemed to want to win. It was ugly both ways. The one thing I do want to say from this game is Morgan Rogers' ball-carrying ability is still just incredibly impressive to me. Chelsea 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Palmer's fine form continues as he assists Madueke. Chelsea have been unbeaten since their opening day defeat to Manchester City, and Nottingham Forest's strong start to the season continues as well. And with that, that concludes this week's Roundup. Looking forward, we have an international break now, so we got about 2 weeks until the Premier League returns. Some good matches to look forward to, including Chelsea taking a trip up to Anfield. That'll be a big test for Liverpool and for Chelsea to see where both teams are at. And then Brighton travels to Newcastle in a big matchup of 2 teams that are fighting for the European spots. That's 6 and 7 on the table. I may put out a predictions video next weekend to sort of fill the void of the international break. But until then, don't forget to leave a comment below on your thoughts from this past weekend and to subscribe for a roundup of all the Premier League action every weekend. Until next time, have a good one, guys.